What if? You woke up tomorrow and you felt different. What if? You began to question what others haven't noticed. What if? I began to have experiences I could not explain at a very young age. Our worldview is filled with intrigue, wonder, adventure, and of course, mysteries. However, there are some situations that we cannot fully explain, and it's time we open up this dialogue and talk about our experiences. I am your host, Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz. Welcome to Haunted Mysteries. Welcome to Haunted Mysteries Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz. This show will air every other week on the Get Haunted Podcast Network. So sit back and relax, and if you miss it, go to the Get Haunted Podcast Network Facebook page or to my YouTube channel under Haunted Mysteries Podcast. Spend an hour every other week with us, delving into what most of us are chasing after, answers to unexplained happenings. This show brings you a bit of chatter, topics, theories, guest interviews, and more. May you be a believer in cryptids, apparitions, UFOs, consciousness abilities, or anything else. Know that there is another person out there who has experienced something similar or a bit stranger. It's not always in our imagination. This episode is pre-recorded. Good evening, everyone, and thanks again for joining me for another episode of Haunted Mysteries Podcast. My name is Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz. I am the host and the producer of this show. Well, sit back and grab something. Grab the person next to you. Tonight we have with us Cheryl Lynn Carter. And Cheryl is a very intriguing individual. She's a writer, a columnist for Paranormal Underground magazine, and she writes very, very well. And so on this show tonight, we talked a little bit about Skinwalker Ranch and our experiences there. And we also talked a little bit about her new book called Chosen. And of course, that has extraterrestrial alien type stories in it. Very interesting. And of course, everything that she's doing coming up here. So please welcome to the show my special guest, Cheryl Lynn Carter. Have you ever had one of those days when you think everything is going your way, only to find out that when you do a complete interview with someone, and you've done hundreds of these, that the only time when they have actually a black screen is when they talk about something very UFO-ish, very something that maybe doesn't want to be spoken about, and it always seems to be, UFO, extraterrestrial, other being, maybe even enlightened rocks that one might have in their possession. So forgive me tonight, but there will be a picture put in the place of Cheryl Lynn Carter. Well, welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Hi, welcome to be back.
Oh, glad to have you back. My goodness, I think it's been a couple of years. I've interviewed Cheryl in the past, and I'm just really happy that she's with us again today. So, but most people probably don't remember, especially my followers, that they follow this very religiously, but so many people go by and they just don't always remember. So we're going to start out with you kind of telling people just a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to get into our foundation question, which is going back in time. So let's start with just you telling a little bit about yourself.
I'm a psychic medium, a remote viewer, and I'm an explorer of all high strangeness. I was born in Illinois, and now I live in Michigan. Mm-hmm. I'm also a freelance journalist for Paranormal Underground magazine. I have my own column every month, The Carter Files, Mysteries of the Unknown. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love that too. I was on the cover of that, and I'm very grateful for them putting me on there. I was kind of shocked to get that honor. And
I got a cover once too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, very interesting though, and really, Cheryl, you do a really good job with your columns and your stories. And so, sometime I'll have to have you back again, and we'll talk about some of these stories that she has. But it's Paranormal Underground. So if you don't get a chance, look it up. I think you'll be really surprised by that. And a remote.
I was thinking about getting all those stories together, making a book. I don't know.
Oh, no, I think you should, if you haven't already. I think,
I was thinking about doing that.
Cheryl's an excellent writer, and you know what? Maybe that, Cheryl, is now your next book. Pull those stories together, clean it up a little bit, and boom, off it goes. All the work is already done, essentially. So, and how fascinating, too. Plus, you're a remote viewer. Now, people have different skills in being a remote viewer. I have talked with individuals who can actually remote view people's bodies, to see what's going on in there. I've had people that say I do pretty good when it comes to buildings or things like that. What would you say would be your skill regarding remote viewing?
And there's different ways to remote view. Like I was just born this way. That's how I do it. But there's the scientific way where they can just give you some numbers and say, okay, this is the location, and then you could zoom in on that. And I've never been really successful with that. I get a few hits, but I could just go somewhere. I used to be part of a group that we would look for missing people.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That's what we did.
Mm-hmm. Successful?
Very successful, yes. And I could zoom into the location, and we could see. We did a lot of missing children. Mm-hmm. Found a lot of missing children, because you only have 48 hours when a child is missing to bring them back alive. So you have 48 hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I could zoom into the last place where they were, and I could see things that are around them. Oh, there's a McDonald's down on the corner. There's a blue house. All those things are important to the police, even though they're just little bits and pieces. Mm-hmm.
And you just mentioned one very important factor here. The police and how everybody is trained to think, and they don't all think the same way in every location on this planet.
Right.
So if they don't know who you are and they don't trust in the skill that you have, for an example, as just a regular psychic that goes in and says, you know what, I think I know where so-and-so is, or I think I know where the body can be found. You got to be careful, because in some places they will mark you as the suspect because
if you know too much that you shouldn't know. Exactly.
Yeah, but there are people I know too, and I've known them since I was 24, and I'm 64 now, so this is 40 years later, who also did, by the way, missing children. And she was well known, though. And so if she had any kind of inkling or whatever, they would consult with her or try to see if she had anything that they could work with. So, there are people that will be noted as credible, but others that'll be noted as suspicious, so you just have to be careful.
Yeah, see, the leader of our group, we would give him information, and then he would go to the police, because, who am I?
Yeah.
I remember one time I was going to visit my sister in Illinois, and there was a woman in the nearby town missing. She goes, "Where do you think she is?" So I remote viewed, and I said, "Well, she's dead." "Well, they're looking for her." I said, "No, she's dead." I said, I saw a man kill her. "Well, where is she?" And I said, and they give you little bits and pieces when they're trying to show you where they are. And you got to try to put it together. And I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "She's like in a dark place. Maybe she's face down somewhere." And I see the word water. "Oh, she's by water?" "No, she's not by water. I see a sign that says water." Meant nothing to me. So when I got to Illinois, I actually called the police, and I told them, I said, "I don't know if you believe in psychics." He's kind of like, "Yeah, whatever." You could tell I don't think he wrote anything down that I told him.
Exactly.
And I told him, and he says, "There's no water around there." I said, "No, I didn't say she's in the water. There's a sign that says water. I told you there's no water." And I says, "Okay." So a week later, they're from a little farm town, and they had those drainage ditches in front of houses. Okay?
Yes, right.
So the neighbors went to the police and said, "Well, my neighbor is getting all this topsoil, and he's filling in the drainage ditch. Something's not right." So they went there, and it was her brother-in-law's house, and there she was in the drainage ditch in front of his own house.
Oh my.
And so she was down, face down. She couldn't see me. And it was right next to the city's water tower.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Did when you reported this and you gave that information, did they ever have a response back to you? Like,
no. He just kept telling me, "No, everybody says they're by water." I said, "I didn't say she's by water, and there was no water by her except the water tower." But if you would have listened to me, you might have said, "There's a water tower."
Exactly. And there's no thank you. Do you ever feel like it's a thankless job when it comes to that?
Yeah. Some people thank you, other people no.
Yeah, they just take
you got lucky or something.
Exactly, got lucky. But most people don't realize that psychics and those that can do this sort of thing are utilized more than what you don't realize. And so they'll never give credit and say, "Oh yeah, a psychic told me, and thanks to psychic so-and-so," because what that does is it lessens the credibility of the work that they do in their attempt to try to find somebody, and that's just how it is. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Everyone wants to, why don't you just give credit where credit's due? We had to have a little help here. We got our help, and that's that, But yeah, it's tough. And then, of course, the other thing is what's admissible in a court of law. So maybe some procedures or some rules that they have to go by, and maybe perhaps that's a reason why too that they can't just outwardly disclose this, because it might be thrown out, or you might be marked as something else that's to this case. So in that case, then I give my hat off to the police department or the sheriff's department or whatever for not saying much more, because if they're going to have their case thrown out or they have to do something with it, it could messy it up a little bit more. So I do see both sides of the coin. Yeah. Real interesting.
But I know there's people that claim they're psychic, and they always say the person's by water, and that's how I started out when I started talking to them. I said, "I know you always hear people say they're by water, but she's by water."
It's kind of interesting. Now go back as far as you can remember, because obviously your gifts or skills or abilities started somewhere, or you had an encounter, or you came to learn of something. Let's go back and where did this all begin for you?
First weird experience I had, I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was with Grandma over at my aunt's farm. And we were staying upstairs, and the room next to us was had a bunch of trunks and old boxes and stuff. And so in the morning, everybody is downstairs, and I got up and I'm going to go explore. So I went tiptoeing into the room, and the floorboards are creaking, and I go, oh, they're going to hear me. Mm-hmm. So I took my shoes off, and I'm tiptoeing. That's going to help. And I start opening boxes, and I go, there's hats, there's clothes, nothing exciting here. Mm-hmm. And then there was this big trunk with ornate hinges on it. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that's interesting. And I walked over, and there was a little boy standing behind the trunk, and he was about as old as me. And I went over and I looked, and I could see through him. And why does my aunt... All I'm thinking is, why did my aunt have a little boy up here? It didn't dawn on me I could see through him, and that was weird. And I went closer, and he reached out his hand, and his hand was really cold, and I ran down the stairs, and I never told anybody. I didn't tell my aunt probably till 10 years ago that she had a little boy up in her attic.
Mm-hmm. Did she respond to that when you did eventually tell her? Did she say, yeah, I kept hearing noises, or I know, or did she? No,
she goes, I believe you. I mean, she actually believes in all this stuff, so then we start talking about all these things. Mm-hmm. But then after that, I'd be walking down the street with Grandma, and we'd be going up to the street to the factory. We're going to go feed the goats up there. Mm-hmm. And I would start knowing things. I remember the funny one is, I go, oh, there's Mr. Carr. Grandma said, there's Mr. Carr waving. I said, oh, and I'm thinking, he goes across the street to see that lady over there, and they're kissing. I'm this little kid, and I'm having these crazy visions like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you were seeing this, did you say you saw translucently, not solid formly?
Oh, no, he was, yeah.
Was he translucent, or was he solid form?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I didn't even question that was weird when I was a little kid.
Now, when you're a little kid, the way our brains develop and work, it's kind of interesting, because some of us when we're young get thrown a lot of experiences or stimuli or things that are happening, and it almost feels like you're being rushed to get something developed. On other times, people are kind of aloof because they never had an experience or anything like that. And I know that when I was young at that age, there was no such thing as paranormal. We never talked about ghosts. It was only the angel or the devil, and went to church and the whole 10 yards. And so when I had experiences in my grandparents' house and things just did not feel right in that house, anytime I would bring up that it's kind of spooky in here, I would always get the lecture of, there's nothing, in that house, and there's no this or that or whatever. But yet I could never seem to explain why. I just felt like I couldn't go there. Now, this was your grandmother's house, right, where you saw the little boy? Is that where you saw?
That was my aunt's house.
Your aunt's house, okay. Mm-hmm. How often did you go over there, and was that the only occurrence?
We would go up there every summer to visit. We'd take the bus up there. Mm-hmm. No, another time I was out in the yard riding the swing, and I'm hearing somebody calling my name, and there's nobody around. Mm.
And did it sound like a child voice, a voice?
No, it was a woman's voice.
Really? Kind of like a doppelganger in a way, just somebody else projecting.
I thought it was Grandma. Mm-hmm. And I ran in the house. I says, what did you want? She says, I didn't call you. I said, I heard you. Oh. No. So I went back out, got on the swing, heard my name again. Mm-hmm. Ran in the house. No, I heard it this time. And she goes, no, I didn't call you. My aunt says, oh, the wind makes noises around here, so she's probably heard stuff.
Yep. Yep, that one came at me when I was investigating my great grandparents and then grandparents' house. My dad tried to use that one on me. I bet it was the wind whistling through the wood or something, or a crack in the wood, and
It said my name twice. The wind said
exactly.
My name. I wasn't believing that,
Exactly. And what do you think the motive was for hearing that? Did they want to swing themselves and just wanted you off of it, or what?
It was a woman's voice, and later I found out it was my great-grandmother talking to me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So in your family, did your abilities, did you ever find out if these abilities carried back to your generation?
It's supposed to be hereditary. It's supposed to come down the line. Mm-hmm. My mother never believed any of this stuff, but it can't miss a generation. Because I know Grandma had it. We lived with Grandma. And the reason I thought everybody could do this was because she knew stuff was going to happen before it happened, and she'd pick up the phone before it rang, and her friend would be right there. Just stuff like that. And so I just thought everybody could do this. So I didn't question. Yeah, and then it came from her mother had it, and great-grandma's father was a medicine man, and it goes back,
Oh, interesting on the medicine man thing,
Yeah.
So what did you learn about that? That's kind of interesting, especially back in the day. Anything
back when I started doing my genealogy, I didn't know.
And what did he, when you say medicine man, what exactly did he do?
He was a Chippewa medicine man.
Oh, cool. I mean, interesting. I always say cool when I mean interesting, but
yeah.
I think that is interesting. Did he, so do you think that your abilities then came as part of that too, and then came down the line?
Yeah.
And then came to you. Now, do you have brothers and sisters, and do they have the same type of gifts?
My one sister, I think she has gifts. The other ones, I don't feel anything.
Do you think they're missed?
It's too bad I don't have children to pass this on. Now it's going to be lost, but yeah.
Yeah, and it would be fascinating, and I know the same thing. I mean, I come from a large family, and so some of them are very skeptical, and some of them have had what I would say term is experiences, and they believe, but they don't want to dabble in this too much because of religion type aspects, but they know that there's something going on out there. And so how were you received? Did you ever say anything in school? Did anyone ever criticize you? Did you learn to just be quiet? How were you received?
See, that's when I found out in grade school that nobody else talked about this stuff. I didn't come out and say something, but I never heard anyone else talk about it. So I didn't talk about it. I said, I thought everybody was like this. They're not. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And even when I went to high school, I finally met a girl at high school that she was talking about this. I said, oh, somebody else. So then we started talking. I said, okay, we're okay. We both could do this stuff.
Interesting. And so did she become your friend, like a good friend then?
Yeah. And so I remember the one time she says, did you ever stand at the foot of your bed and watch yourself sleeping? And I said, no.
And you're like, oh, I guess you got a different ability than I have. That.
Well, that's what is
out of body?
Astral projecting.
Projection, yeah.
Who knows that word back then? So I tried it, and I go, yeah, it's cool, but I don't want to do this because what if I can't get back in my body?
I know. See, I
tried it once. Okay, that was cool. Okay.
That is the number one I'm going to use the word fear here, concern, worry for people when people are saying, here, try astral projection, out of body, try to go out of your body. But what if I don't ever come back? What if I float away and my cord breaks or whatever? You know what? I have not successfully ever really attempted that, or I don't think I could anyway. For some reason, I seem to be wired differently. But I do remember having dreams where I'm flying in the air, or flying down.
See, you were doing it. I astral project in my sleep. You were flying, see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were doing it.
And then when you're about ready to hit the ground, though, you're back to where you were. You woke up because you weren't sure that you wanted to feel the impact. So those types of things. But yeah, I had a number of dropping dreams, or flying dreams, but I don't remember though in the dream anything specific to anything other than the fact that I was coming down and ready to hit the ground. That's the only thing that I remember, and that part scared me. I didn't want to feel it. How about?
I'll just be really high and I see the ground above me and everything, and I go, what the heck are you doing? It can't be a dream when you have this happen a lot.
Yeah, and I know somebody who can do it very, very easily and very well, and it's just like he tries to tell everybody, you're not going to not stay out of your body. You will come back to your body. Blah blah blah. But a lot of us have that fear. So yeah. So Cheryl and
I would rather just remote view.
Yeah. So have you been? It's interesting because the only time I was successful at remote viewing was when I was in Las Vegas at a conference, and we had that as a experiment or something, and he held up the envelope, and I really to this day don't understand, and maybe you can help me understand this, these numbers that were, here's this envelope, there's something in it, we're going to put a number of blah 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 on there, and it's like I never really understood what the numbers mean. I mean, I did, out of 200 people, I was the only one because I think I connected with their energy and somehow it lit me up. And I was the only one who knew what was in the envelope, and I drew it out exactly. And I have that as proof in my book, by the way, everybody. I have what they showed, and I showed what I drew. But can you explain, or do you know what the heck these numbers mean?
That's what I mean. That's like how the military use these numbers, and it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make.
I don't know if it's got something to do with GPS coordinates. I don't know.
Right.
But it's only six. They use 6 numbers.
Right, exactly. We use 6 numbers. We always have to write it on the top of our sheet. And then it was like, okay, go at it.
Take each number.
Yes.
Look at the first number, draw what you see. Look at the second number.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't do it that way.
No, I don't either.
understand how the number things work.
I'm the same way with you. I am just like, what? I could just, I would rather just look at the envelope and see if anything comes. A flash. What I get, I don't know if you get this, I get flashes. Do you get flashes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what kinds of things flash to you? Like when I get flashes really quick, like for example, let's say I'm anticipating going, or maybe not anticipating going to a casino, all right? Because I seem to be very lucky when it comes to winning money. I will get a flash, but if it's a buffalo, for example, and anybody out there who gambles knows that there's a zillion buffalo machines, you're like, well, can you be a little bit more specific? Yeah. Which one is it? But those are colors. I get colors. I predicted for the 4th time in a row now, I've predicted the winner of the Kentucky Derby based on a color flash that came into my head. And that's how I get it. What do you get?
Yeah. Stuff like that, or I says like when spirits are talking to me, sometimes you see flashes, sometimes they'll show you like a little video. Everybody's different. Some people give you words. I hate the words. That does nothing. I like the flashes, though, where you can see different stuff. Oh, yeah.
There was a time when I was, years ago, when you talked about the video. I had scenes swirling around in my head so fast I couldn't understand why I was. It's just like, and I thought, what is going on here? Why am I seeing all these things go around, and what's the point or what's the purpose? I really couldn't tell you what the purpose was. I just know that I felt like, stop it, hold on. Do you ever get that where things are just going around really, really fast?
That's why when something's weird, I write it down. I said, maybe it'll come to me later, or maybe I'll get more later. I just write it down.
Yeah.
Sometimes I never figure it out, but I just write it down.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating. So Cheryl and I met a couple years ago at a conference in Utah called Phenomenon, and we were both invited media to actually be able to go in and interview a very selective group of people, by the way, to go in and interview the Skinwalker Ranch guys. And I think you've written a book or a couple, I can't remember how many you wrote on Skinwalker Ranch, but I thought might talk a little bit about some of the things that you've learned or heard of or researched or had come to you that you're able to talk about regarding that experience or those experiences.
Well, we're still going to talk about remote viewing. When I was digging into Skinwalker Ranch, the person I was writing with says, here, this remote viewer, let's put this in the book. And I'm reading it, and you could tell this person was making it all up because they go, oh, native land, blah, blah. Of course it's native land, we know that.
Yeah.
So I remote viewed to Skinwalker Ranch. And I saw a native man standing by a beaver dam, by that stream. We've all seen the stream on Skinwalker Ranch. Mm-hmm. There's a beaver dam there with two beavers. Mm-hmm. And he's standing there. He had a bow in his hand, and his hair was in one braid. And he's just looking at me, and he's pointing over to the East Mesa. Mm-hmm. And he looked familiar to me. And I said, how can he be familiar? I've never been there. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that when I was going to Sweat Lodge, he had been appearing to me for 7 years at Sweat Lodge before I even knew what Skinwalker Ranch was.
Interesting.
So that was interesting. So then, I don't know, a few months later then, I'm just sitting at my computer, and I saw something in the shadow was standing next to me. Now, it's daylight, there's no shadows. And I go, oh, is it a shadow person? And I said, no, something in the shadows. And all of a sudden, they started downloading code into my brain. And I go, no, stop, I don't understand. It's okay. It's okay. Isn't that what all the UFO books say? It's okay. And they kept downloading it. And I said, I don't understand. You will. Okay. So then they're all done. And I said, I still don't know what the code is about. Mm-hmm. I don't feel enlightened. I don't know what it did to me. Mm-hmm. So then I went to Phenomenon the next year. Mm-hmm. And my friend drove up to the gates with me. And we get out of the truck. And I heard the same voice say, pick up that rock. And I started laughing, and my friend says, what? And I said, the code guy said, pick up the rock, and we're standing on a gravel road. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking around, and there's an oval-shaped rock that fits in the palm of your hand. And I said, well, that's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And the voice said, not that one. And I said, oh, we're funny, okay. So I'll give it to my friend. So I looked around, I found another one like that, and I picked it up. Mm-hmm. And the voice said, yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. And then they said, the code has been activated. And the rock started vibrating in my hand.
Oh, my.
And it does. It's a vibrating rock. I actually showed it to Eric Bard, and it vibrated in his hand. When I put it in my driveway with my tri-field meter, it registers a 4. Wow. It's a rock. And it did it to Eric, too. And I says, what do you think? Interesting. I said, no, you're supposed to tell me what this is. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. So yeah, I got this code in my head. Don't know what it's for.
That vibrating rock, did you ever have it I don't know. I don't know. Does anyone ever X-ray rocks at all? I know that might sound.
Yeah, I don't know where I would take it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like look inside this rock to see what's going on there. I don't know. I mean, so you still have the rock, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Does it do you ever pick it up and does it continue to vibrate, or did it vibrate?
No, it still does.
It still does. Wow.
Yeah. When I went to Phenomenon, I ran into Chris Bartell, one of the Bigelow's guards. And I says, I never showed you my rock. I says, put it in your hand. And it did funny stuff to his hand, too. So
interesting.
I says, now, when you were walking around on the ranch, did you ever find a rock like this? And he said, no. And I says, what the heck is this rock? And why I'm supposed to have this? I don't know. And it doesn't want me to just let anybody hold it either.
Okay. So you can kind of tell from a vibe from it or some energy that's coming off of it that...
I haven't let too many people hold it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, well, and since you've held it, have you noticed yourself, I don't know, becoming sick? Does it have radiation on it or something?
No, I don't feel bad. No,
you don't feel bad. Okay.
It's good energy. I just don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to figure out. If you're like, don't touch it, it's been, whatever, activated by something that could make you sick, that kind of thing.
No. It actually feels good when I hold it. I don't know what it's all about.
That's interesting. And also that it came to you in the kind of a code.
The code. It's like the rock and the code goes together for some reason.
Have you ever been activated before? Do you know what I'm talking about? Electrified, tingle, top to bottom, whoa, really like that. Have you ever experienced that at all? Because I know that that's a specific feeling I get when I'm visited by something that I can't explain. And sometimes half of my brain will literally tingle and electrify and all that. And it'll be a really bizarre feeling. And then sometimes when I'm in certain places, if I touch certain like tombstones or whatever, I will feel just a surge of energy, literally.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Up and down. Have you ever had the energy surges yet at all? Have you had that?
Oh, yeah. A lot, yeah.
And are you around something that seems to trigger that?
I think you just get different feelings from different objects because everything has energy to it.
Yeah, especially if anyone hasn't been out to Utah, make a trip out there. My husband and I, when we were out there on that same trip, we went to this dinosaur. I mean, I think it's in Colorado. It's just over the border. That's all it is. Like one, right, boom, over the border. There it is. The dinosaur
National Monument.
Yes.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very nice. Have you gone through there at all?
Yes. Yes.
Did you go see the petroglyphs at all?
I didn't know where the petroglyphs were when I went there, and now I found out you could just drive up to them. I thought you had to hike. I thought you had to hike to them, and I didn't want to hike by myself.
No, you do have to hike. But what was interesting that I learned, so I stayed down on, I'll call it flat ground with the vehicle, and I said to my husband, I'm not walking all the way up to that mountain to see these petroglyphs. What if something happens to either of us? Well, something could have happened to him. What if there could have been a rattlesnake or something on the path that he was walking up towards? Well, nothing happened to him, thank God. But what I did learn and find out, and we were out there by ourselves, except there was one other person out there as well who came down from that mountain, and I wasn't feeling very threatened or anything. So my husband goes all the way up. He had to go on this path, and I said, just be careful. God, I don't know what to do if something happens or you get bit by a rattlesnake or a scorpion or whatever is out here. Well, he made it up there okay, and he didn't have any incident, but what he did tell me was that when the guy came down, we were just softly talking to each other. Very soft, just like that, softly. He said, I could hear every single word from way up there that you said to this guy as if you were standing right next to me talking. It was very kind of weird and kind of surreal because, thank God I wasn't having an affair with this guy, and yeah, glad to see we came down from the mountain. But the acoustics is what I'm getting at. But yes, there were petroglyphs up there. He did see them. Where you're probably thinking also, there was a trip that they
Cocky Ranch.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I went there. Yeah.
Oh, you
But I was
went
with
there?
the group. I was with the group, though. I just didn't want to hike by myself
No.
when I don't know where I'm going.
Well, and you know what? No one ever really brings safeguards with them anyway. How many people carry bandages, or what happens if you get bit by something or stung and you're out in the middle of like nowhere? This is where we were in that park and stuff. And I did shake a little bit, and I didn't say much to the guy. He went by himself. That was his mission. He went up there, he got what he needed, he turned around, came down, got in his truck, and we talked a little bit, and he drove away. So it was very kind of interesting, but a beautiful park. And the light, the sunshine beats down on this stuff all day long. So it's hot and it's energizing things, and you just never know really what you're going to get into. So
Did you go into that museum and see the wall of all the bones?
yes, I had pictures taken, and
Wow, that was amazing.
that was
A whole
very
cliff
interesting.
of bones.
Yes, and a whole wall of bones from, I guess that you would call them what, dinosaurs or what? Obviously, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Different. I can't remember if it was different types of dinosaurs or one particular species.
No, there were different ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just like what happened that they're all died in that spot.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. Exactly. Where things are being found, right? That is worth your time. And not only that, it was so nice and air conditioned in there. When we were there, it's like, then you got on the little tour. There's a little tour bus that or a shuttle you can get on, and they'll take you around a certain, path of the park. And you can just see kind of the different looks of the park from different angles, and that was really interesting. But I had a splitting headache because it was so hot when we went. But I did you have any experiences while you were in Vernal at all? Did you have any experiences?
I did get that like out of body feeling. Again, yeah.
I had something happened to my computer at the hotel I was staying at. It all of a sudden never has ever done this before, during, after, whatever. It just all of a sudden came on and said, this computer, if you don't hit this button in 1 minute or whatever, within or whatever, is going to shut down, and I'm going to wipe out everything that's on your computer. And I just absolutely went, what on earth? I've never seen that before. And, no, it wasn't, what's the word, attacked or whatever by some kind of a hacker. It really, and then we went to a Walgreens there, and the woman was talking about how late at night, when nobody was coming into the store, the doors would just naturally open and close as if somebody was walking into the store. And she also said there were some that also something to do with the windows. I don't know if it was tapping on the windows or something, but she was telling her stories of some of the weird stuff that had happened in that town. Did you hear of anything else weird?
I was at a store one night, and we're just sitting in there talking, and the doors were open.
Yeah.
And you heard like a little girl laughing and stuff, and I looked outside and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there like, that happens all the time.
Yeah, they're so used to it. I went to this, I went to a stargazing thing. And of course, this was just after or during COVID when you and I were there. And it's like, I'm not going to put my face up to this thing after people are breathing on it.
Yeah.
Gaze at these quote unquote stars. And there was no place to sit up. But we were in this parking lot, and we were actually by a lake. And then they started talking about this lake. This lake apparently is very, very haunted there. And they referred to what was in the lake as the haunting thing as a I want to call it
like a
water,
snake, a sea monster, yeah.
no, water baby or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it cries like a baby. So what happens is people think that there's a baby crying, so then they want to go and try and find the baby to help it or to rescue it or whatever it, and it's actually quite nasty once you kind of. So I was wondering when we went out on this thing, I thought it was a little interesting because there was nobody like out. Either this town sleeps at 8 or 9 o'clock at night because it's not that exciting, or it was really foggy a couple nights there, but it was just eerie. And there was like, you just, I don't know. It was so eerie. Did you get an eerie feeling while you're there? Did you go out at night?
You do. It's totally different feeling at night.
It is.
It totally is.
It is. It's very, very odd.
You feel like you're not alone, even if you are alone. Yeah.
Exactly. And I couldn't wait to get out of there. There's just something about it. It's like, drive us out of there, But I had about 4 different experiences while I was there. And then something attached itself to me when we left. And and it was interesting, though, because I had 2 situations occur. We went up, you're up high in Utah the way it is. So we went up into Wyoming, somewhere up here, and there was a tourist trap. And the first thing that occurred to me, which I think happened at the tourist trap, was there was a jail, or a jail from back in the day. And I went in there and I was by myself. And it was very clean. It was very interesting. And I told whatever it was in there to just go stand by the wall. And sure enough, through my camera, I actually saw 2 orbs literally kind of flutz about and then just go and right next to each other stand next to the wall. So then of course I made the mistake and I said, you could leave anytime. You don't have to stay here. So guess what? One decides to attach itself to me. We went back to the cabin, which was a cabin, kind of little resort cabin thing, and the town is very, very, very small. I mean, very really sleepy. But I got this urge, and I'm not a drinker. And I got this urge, and I said to my husband, I need to make a call to the manager because I'm having a real thirst for whiskey right now, and I need a bar. I did. This was absolutely, he could, as God is my witness. He goes, "What's wrong with you?" Because I don't drink. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" I said,
of all things, whiskey. Yeah.
Whiskey. I just need whiskey. I don't know what it is. So I did. I actually called the manager. Hi, I know this town is pretty small, but do you have a liquor store or do you have a kind of a bar nearby? But it was down the street, but it doesn't open till whenever. And I just got off the phone. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" I don't know. But then I associated it back to the jail.
Whoever was in the jail, yeah.
Did you have anything else go on while you were there? I mean, it's a very interesting town.
Well, I says, whatever followed me home, people go, "Oh, don't you want to get rid of it?" And I said, "Well, it kind of comes and goes. It's not like it's attached to me, which is this weird thing. But it's something from the ranch, and I feel that it's interdimensional."
Okay.
That's how I feel.
Do you think that has anything to do with that rock?
That's what told me to pick up the rock. Yeah, so I don't know.
Interesting. Does it do anything in your house?
No. I keep it here in the office. When I first got it, I had it on the nightstand by me, and I was having crazy dreams. And my friend goes, "Don't put that by your nightstand." Yeah, so then I keep it in the office here. No, nothing.
So, can you feel a presence off of something periodically, and what does that feel like?
Yeah, that's called psychometry, when you can hold something and get impressions from it. Okay.
Do you get any impressions from it at all?
Yeah, I see the ranch.
The ranch. Any parts of the ranch?
The mesa.
The mesa.
East Mesa.
Mm-hmm. Are they trying to say that there's something in there or behind there or within there or whatever? Is that what you're
When I saw the native man, he used to live in a cave. There was a cave there by the mesa. I think it's closed up now or something, but there was a cave. There was a whole underground cave system. Him and his people lived under there. I saw him putting things into the cave. And he wants me to see it, but I don't know what I keep saying, show me, just show me. I hate when they only show you little bits and pieces.
I know.
Why are you showing me this cave?
No answer yet?
He just points to the mesa.
Points to the mesa. Interesting. Do you know, I haven't been following the show since I met you out there a couple of years ago. I just haven't had time. And, there's other things that I watch sometimes. Have you been following? I don't even know where they're at right now in what they've discovered. Have you learned? I know you've been out there a couple times and we're just out there for this conference. What do you know about things that they've discovered? Have they talked about that very much?
They keep trying to drill into the mesa.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're trying to do that, and they keep saying there's no cave system. And I know there was. I know. If you would let me come out there, I'll show you where it is. But that's another story. And they are like fixated on the triangle area. The triangle is just roads. It's roads getting to the property, and it's just roads. It just happens to be triangle shape, but you got to work on the triangle image, like the Bermuda Triangle, I guess. And there's some kind of a dome over it, so when they shoot rockets through it and stuff, they ricochet the other way. I don't know. It's a road.
Interesting.
This native man, he's been there a long, long time. He's been there way before the Utes. I'm thinking maybe Fremont time. He's really, really old, and he's a medicine man, and he protects the land.
Right. That's one. I'm glad you brought that up, because there's something that people do not realize, and it goes back to these gentlemen that I'm talking about who accidentally said something they shouldn't have said, gave the plot away, basically. They do protect the land, not these guys. They do. And if you get too close, I'm not going to mention what they go and try to discover and all that sort of thing, but if you get too close to certain areas of this land, all schmutz breaks loose, and you can get yourself killed, they said. They will protect this land. So that's for those that want to run out and do a lot of exploring and stuff like that. Understand that it's not as simplistic as you think it is. There's actually quite some danger to this, especially in parts where we're talking about. And so, and I know that people have packed up and said, I'm heading out there. I want to see what's out there. I'm going to take a chance. Well, you know what?
It's not a game.
It's not. One of them never came back. That I know.
It's not a game. It's not.
Yeah. So it's very fascinating. But also this energy seems to project itself in, I can't remember how I discovered this. It's like 100-mile radius. I mean, so it's not just there. It goes through a long way, this whole area up there in Utah and stuff. And so it's whatever it is that's causing or creating this energy, it's very, it's interesting, but it's also kind of bizarre too, Because
if you're driving down Highway 40 going to Vernal, I only drove through there at night one time.
Oh, God.
The oil tanker's coming so fast, it's scary on the 2-lane highway. But,
yeah.
But I heard talk about there was 2 deputies from 2 different counties, and they kind of patrol, and then they pass each other. And one night, one of the deputies was driving, and all of a sudden, this silver craft was hovering on the road in front of him. And then it took off, and then he starts getting a hold of the other deputy. He says, "You're not going to believe what I just saw." And he said, Yes, I would. It's in front of me now.
Oh my God.
And I didn't know that section was called UFO Highway.
I didn't either.
And I'm glad. I don't ever want to drive there at night. I haven't encountered anything in the daytime, but no, I won't drive there at night after I find that out.
Did they ever say that when the thing was in front of them, did you ever find out if it ever did anything or just wanted to make itself known?
Make itself known, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, speaking of, you have a book that you have written and it's been out. Hold up your book. It's called Contact, I think, right?
No. Nope.
Look, I know, mine does the same thing. There you go. Chosen.
Chosen.
Not Contact, Chosen. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write that book and some of the interesting tidbits in there. And of course, you can find this on Amazon. So, Cheryl, what would you like to say? What inspired you to write that book?
Well, you always hear stories about where people have been in contact with something or they got abducted, and then you just think, and they all lived happily ever after. Well, they don't.
Mm-mm.
Because once this happens to you, you are never the same person. Mm-hmm. Never. And so I wanted to dig in and I got 10 stories in there, 10 different cases. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to hear the story and then go on what happened to these people after these things happened to them. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting how it affected their lives. Like one of the stories that a lot of people have heard of was the aerial school encounter, which is in Zimbabwe. Mm-hmm. And the children were outside at this grade school at recess time, and in the little lot next to them, they're in the jungle, middle of nowhere, the silver craft landed, and these 3 little creatures came out. What do you think? And they're running into school to try to tell the teachers who are at a meeting, and they go, no, get out of here. You're just trying to get stuff out of the snack shop when nobody's looking. And they start talking to the children. One of them floated into the yard, and they start showing the one little girl visions in her head.
Huh.
And she saw the world was all burned up. Everything was dead. This is what, children were seeing. And some of the little boys that just lived there forever, they thought it was this creature that came in the middle of the night and stole your soul. Mm-hmm. And so they went back in and they're trying to tell the headmaster what's going on. And, you children making stuff up. Well, most of them didn't even know what a flying saucer was. Mm-hmm. And so he was kind of concerned. Well, there was a woman that was a MUFON investigator, and she found out about it. And she says, I want to come talk to the children. Mm-hmm. So she came there with Dr. Mackey, who was from Harvard, and he was starting to study about abductions, and he wanted to talk to the children. So they had all the children sit down and draw a picture of what they saw. Mm-hmm. And everybody's picture was pretty much the same. And yeah, I got pictures in the book. It's terrible. And then a lot of them went home, and their mother and father didn't believe them. Mm-hmm. Some did, and they pulled their children out of school. And they moved back to Canada. I mean, they were just different things like that. Mm-hmm. And the one interesting story was there was a little girl named Emily Trim, and she started going out with Dr. Mack on speaking tours.
Okay.
And she did paintings of what she saw. That was how she coped with it, because, nobody believed her, and she didn't know what the heck was going on. Mm-hmm. And one of her famous paintings was a little girl with a zipper on her mouth because she couldn't speak of what it was. Mm. And so I had to find this picture for my book. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when she went on tour, she says, yes, she says, and now this little girl doesn't have a zipper on her mouth anymore. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up here, Cheryl, and we'll have to have you back again, get that book written with all your stories. Tell everybody what's going to happen
pretty soon. By the time this airs, the conference will be over, but you may be going to it again next year. Tell us a little bit about what's happening now and how they can get a hold of you.
And next week, the 25th and 26th, I'll be going to UFO Contact in Houghton Lake, Michigan. And I'm going to be speaking about all the stories that are in my book. Mm-hmm. And there'll be lots of other people talking about UFOs. It's actually a place where they do see UFOs in this little area. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen one there yet, but I'll keep looking. Yeah, and I'm going to have some Bigfoot people there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's really a fun event.
And then they can reach you if they need to on Facebook. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, just Cheryl Carter. Yeah. Yep. And then my book's on Amazon. I have a website too.
And what is that?
CherylLynCarter.com.
On behalf of the show and everything, thank you so very much, Cheryl. Thank you for watching and listening to Haunted Mysteries Podcast. The content, music, and creative sound effects, as heard on the Haunted Mysteries Podcast, are copyrighted and licensed commercially to Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz. Please do not reproduce in any manner without the express permission of Dr. Kelly Renee Schutz, Diamond Point Entertainment, LLC, Paranormal Universal Press, LLC, Haunted Mysteries Podcast, and or any affiliated networks such as the Get Haunted Podcast Network. The opinions and information expressed by the guest, hosts, and sources as heard and seen on the Haunted Mysteries Podcast are not necessarily those of Diamond Point Entertainment, LLC, Paranormal Universal Press, LLC, Haunted Mysteries Podcast, and the Get Haunted Podcast Network, as well as its producers. Although the content of the shows may be interesting, the information and opinions within are deemed for entertainment purposes only. Subscribe to continue your enjoyment and interest, and thank you for making Haunted Mysteries Podcast part of your day.